Peter, a winter grave, it's described as a cli-fi. This is a new genre. What is that exactly?
Good question. I only heard this term about 6 weeks ago, and somebody said, "Oh, your book's cli-fi," and I went, "It's what?" Cli-fi. And I don't know that I like it very much as a genre. I'm a crime writer. It's a thriller. It just happens to have a climate theme to it.
And you were drawn to that because you had essentially given up writing, and then COP26 happened, and that changed your whole perspective.
That's right. After a long career in journalism, television, writing books, I think this is my 27th book. I thought it was time to take a wee break, so I was enjoying life, making music, reading for fun, and then COP26 came along. And it just coincidentally, about 2 months prior to that, I'd read a digest of the IPCC report, the latest one, which, its predictions were grim for the future unless drastic action was taken this decade. And so I'd kind of high hopes that something was going to happen at COP26, and it was a total cop-out. And at the end, even the feeble text that they agreed was watered down by the Chinese and the Indians. And at the end of the day, it was, we all sit and watch this happening, politicians doing nothing, our home, the place we live, our planet, going to the dogs, and there's nothing we can do about it. And that's what I felt, really frustrated. What can I do? And I didn't know what to do. And I spent about 3 months just researching climate change. And at the end of that, seemed to me unequivocal that we were headed for disaster unless something happened.
And that's shown in your book, this particular book.
Yeah.
It's set in Scotland. In fact, a lot of the early parts of it are set in Glasgow specifically. And you talk about levees down the Clyde and places underwater. So how did you envisage all of that?
Well, that was quite a powerful early image when I was planning the book. I'd found a website where it was possible to input various parameters, sea level rise, temperature, year. So I was able to basically tailor this thing and look at how our coastline would appear in 30 years from now.
So this isn't just some projected scare story, if you like. This is actually, you've done your research on this.
Oh, absolutely. And so then it was a question of trying to visualise what would Scotland look like in that circumstance. And you look at all the low-lying areas that are going to be flooded. Glasgow Airport's gone. Large parts of the Clyde estuary are underwater, and the barriers have been built to try and protect Glasgow, but the south side got caught short, and a lot of that is flooded. And that was quite a startling kind of picture that I wanted to paint.
And as well as the water, Scotland is also hit by storms and excessive snow, and it's a colder Scotland in certain aspects.
Yes, yeah.
And that's a key part of the story as well.
That's right. Well, it's basically because the Greenland ice sheet has melted and slowed down or stopped the Gulf Stream, which is what brings us temperate climate here. Scotland, most people don't realise that Scotland is on the same latitude as the Alaskan Panhandle. So, by rights, our temperature should be at least 10 degrees cooler, at least.
So as well as being a physically different Scotland, it's a politically different Scotland that you envisage as well. How do you think that an independent Scotland, is that what you see?
Well, I decided to set the story 30 years in the future in 2051, when I would be 100 if I were to live that long, which I won't, I hope. But it just seemed to me it would be fun to look at the political situation, what has happened. Has Scotland become independent? And I would have thought there's quite a strong chance that within the next 30 years it could. And what would that look like? How would the parties divide themselves up? I guess there would be big shifts of alliances and allegiances, and that there would be new parties. So that was fun to look at, and of course Scotland has rejoined Europe as an independent nation, and with the help of France, my now home country, and so Scotland has kind of modelled its local government on the French way of doing things. So
it's you've got climate change, you've got political change, you've also got a whopping story in there. Did you enjoy writing the whole thing?
Yes, I did. I really did, actually. And one of the fun things about it is that I wasn't under contract, so nobody was imposing a deadline on me, and nobody had any expectations. I was doing it because I wanted to do it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And you know, the climate thing is what motivated it. But at the end of the day, I decided the story wouldn't be about climate change. It would be what I do. It would be a thriller. It would be a, you know, palpitating thriller, and that's what I wrote at the end of the day.
And so you were going to give it up for music and a good life in France. Has this inspired you to write more, or do you think you'll go back to the original plan?
Well, I wrote a song to go with the book, Caroline, believe it or not. I released it as a single. It's available to download. Called Don't Burn the World. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll go back, and I've been making an album. I'll go back and finish the album, and if something grabs me, then I'll write about it. If it doesn't, I won't. So I think the lesson that I've learned from this whole exercise is never say never.
Peter, mate, thanks for joining us in Scotland tonight.
My pleasure.